Hey, this is Mike from Mike and the Moonpies. I came here to do something totally different, do some liners for some radio with Adam Oder, and then I had to end up saving this podcast. You're listening to the Bad Truth Podcast.
From the esteemed Yellow Dog Studios in the heart of Wimberley, Texas, you're listening to the Bad Truth Podcast with your hosts, Michael and Adam.
Michael, you should have seen the bass player that I had come into the session this weekend.
Oh, yeah? Was he any good?
He was probably the best session bass player I know. That's why I hired him.
Damn, dude.
Dude, he knocked out. I mean, you know, I'm going to have to replay a couple things, but that's okay. I'm fine. He guided me in the right direction I needed to go.
Oh, okay.
Michael, thanks for coming in on this session for Garrett Ford, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. That was fun.
Dude, we knocked out those songs.
10 songs in 2 days?
In 2 days. Scotty,
well, half a day each.
Yeah. Scotty Davis on guitar, Will Armstrong on drums. And then I had Cody Braun come in and play fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jeff Queen's going to end up doing the steel on it. Percival's going to play some keys. And,
that was fun.
Man, that was a good time. I enjoyed that session. I
haven't been Cedar Creek in a long time.
Dude, I haven't been. There was a big Neve console here at Cedar Creek last time I was here, and now it is no longer here, but they got the little SSL, and they got a bunch of gear, and they've got a lot more gear here and mics than last time I was here, but yeah, talk about old home days.
I know. Did a lot of records in this studio back in the day.
Man, we both did. It's kind of nuts.
I know.
It's
weird doing this podcast here.
Yeah,
we're not in Wimberley.
We're not in Wimberley. You have no idea how the river. You don't even know what the weather's doing outside right now. It could be tornado outside.
I'm a lot closer to home.
Yeah, you are a lot closer. Now I've got to do the drive.
Okay, there you go. Finally.
Thanks a lot.
That was a fun record.
Man, that was
Don't screw it up by putting stuff over the bass lines.
Let me just tell you this. If you know anything about me, you know at least, this is another record you get to actually hear your bass lines on.
I know. There's plenty that you don't hear.
That you don't hear that like Mike played bass on this? I can't tell.
All right. So this podcast, let's just keep going with this.
I'm in. Let's keep going.
We're in the studio. Dude, I'm like 100 feet from you.
There's about 7 or 8 panes of glass between us and our room, and I don't know. It's weird. I don't like this.
Why couldn't I be in the same room?
Well, because the way everything was wired, I'm lazy, and I didn't have an assistant. So
it's dark. It's nighttime. It's creepy back here.
It's really creepy.
Didn't you say there's like snakes and stuff in the studio?
Dude, there's been snakes and rats and a lot of things I've seen in this studio.
All right.
Not all of them were musicians.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do this. Let's talk about what are we talking about?
So you got called for a session. Boom. What happens?
Okay. I know from my standpoint, I'm like, I'm producing a record, and I'm going to find out what music. Once I know the direction of the record, I'm going to find out if my session musicians are available.
Who usually calls you for a session? Is it an artist?
Management sometimes, artists, referrals. Like this one, Garrett's record was a referral. John Silva and the old Cedar Creek head engineer that actually took my place when I left Cedar Creek, him and John Bauman both, I guess, recommended me to talk to him just to see if I would be interested. And he sent me some songs, and I heard the songs, and I was like, man, I like the direction where this is going. Garrett can sing, carry a tune, and so we met. Once that happens, once I hear everything, and I'm like, okay, this is a potential, then we sit down and talk and see the direction that he wants to go, and if it's the same, if we can find a common direction to go.
Y'all talk about common direction and music direction before you talk your personal rate?
Yeah, I kind of do, just because I want to see because some of the rate, as the budgeting will be depending on what all we have to do to the record.
How many songs,
what
kind of stuff he wants,
what type of production, that sort of thing. So
how high profile the bass player is.
How is the bass going to be heard on this record, or is it one of those that just gets buried?
Yeah, the dude that wants $500 a song.
They are the $1,000 a song drummers.
Exactly.
But no, we go from there, and so once if we connect musically on there, then I usually throw a budget together, and I always ask an artist kind of like what their budget is in their head, because I hate
Well, what if they don't know? What if it's a new guy?
Well, if it's a
and
new
they
guy,
they never done it before, and there's all these studios, and like, where do I do this at? This is how much money I have. What studio can I go to?
if it's a new guy with that, I'll always, that's when it's just like I'll kind of give him some options too, like, here are the different price differences, and to go to different studios and to use different musicians, and some will have the band that may be a really good road band with them, but they don't necessarily have the studio chops. They don't have the studio experience. And I try, especially with a new artist, I try to explain to them, what you get out of having a studio band. Like
you get 10 songs in 2 days.
In 2 days, you get some creativity that the road guys, who will probably be able to easily play every lick and expand on what we built, but wouldn't have been able to come up with those ideas.
How do you like to get paid? Venmo?
I mean, is it Venmo? Is it PayPal? Honestly, my least favorite is PayPal. I'll say that much.
You prefer a check?
Honestly, I just prefer to get paid.
Like when?
I usually deposit up front.
Okay.
And do that.
So you're like a venue.
Yeah.
You have to pay the artist half up front, and then after the show.
Well, and what's funny is the more I've talked to a lot of other producers that find me silly for that. And I was just like, because I usually deposit up front and then, figure out times to finish paying off depending on where everything is. And I know more and more producers that say we deposit up front, and then the first day of recording, they have to pay the rest of the album.
Okay.
And I was like, oh.
That seems fair.
And basically their thing is just that in the past couple of years, especially, a lot of people financing records have been backing out. And so they'll start paying the record. And I've had to deal with that in the past 3 or 4 years, where we started a record and then we had to shelve it for a year because the person that was paying for it, even though he had the money up front for the budget and approved the budget, lost his job or decided, you know what, I want to buy a car now, and I'm not going to finish paying off this record. And so I know a lot of producers that are like, nope, I won't deal with that, because
do they ask you for like 1099s?
Oh yeah.
They ask you for your social and all that stuff.
They get all the W-9, 1099 me.
So what do you deduct? You deduct your miles driving to and from the
miles driving.
What about your cell phone for calling musicians and texting people?
I deduct cell phone stuff. I used to when I had my studio, like when I had a studio room in my house, I deducted a percentage of my house, but I don't do that anymore. Let's see. I mean, everything from strings and stuff, depending on if I've got the session stuff set up, like in my calendar and everything, I'll deduct certain food things, especially if I'm the one, like sometimes literally I'll be going in and buying all the snacks and stuff like that.
You will?
Yeah. It just depends on the session.
Okay.
I've
had some guys that come in, they just buy snacks and stuff, or they just take a food order and they just pay it.
Yeah. It's everyone is different. There's a big thing there. Sometimes I've had sessions that, somebody's friends with a catering company or a restaurant and have had, 2 meals a day catered, which
I've been on those.
My favorite.
I've been on those sessions.
Awesome.
That's the big boy sessions right there.
Those are the big boy sessions, or just somebody that has a really cool friend at Cooper's Barbecue.
Wow.
That I've had that.
You're doing union scale, signing the card and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you ever ask? I always ask. All right, so that's on your producer side of things.
Yeah.
For me, when I get called, it's probably the producer.
Yeah. I was gonna say you probably get all session stuff. Usually comes from the producer. The producer normally is the one.
Yeah,
that's calling
almost
the musicians.
always the producer will call me, or sometimes the artist will call.
Yeah.
On behalf of the producer.
And I was gonna say I've done a session. Where, you were requested, Drew Fish Band, when we did that Drew Fish EP, that was like the first, like the band members requested who they wanted to be
play them in the next feature film.
Exactly. Who's the taller, better looking version of them.
All right. He recommended me.
Oh yeah. You were the choice.
Man, you were probably like, damn it.
And I was just like, are you sure you want T-Bay?
Oh, the hours of editing.
I mean, I don't know if I can quantize all that.
Real close. One more time. Let's try one more time.
Man, that was great. I know you can do that lick better on the other bass, but I really like the tone of this bass.
Yeah, exactly. All right. For me, it's I always I go, okay, crap. Now I got to go through I have some basses that I play live. Most of my basses are like live, like gear wise.
Yeah.
But I have some that I use specifically for studio. So I try to have a wide range of palette of instruments instead of just like the one bass for the whole record kind of thing. But I have to make sure that they're intonate. I go through them. Some basses you don't play all the time, so you have to go, let me go look at these basses. I haven't looked at them in a while.
Yeah.
And make sure that everything's okay and that they play in tune and stuff.
Well, and that's one of the many things that I like about when you come in on a session with me is just because, you know, and I've got extra basses too, being a bass player, but I know, you know, there's two main basses of yours that I love, and like this last session, you know, we just went back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, and it was perfect. And you understand the concept of tone in the sense of tone in your fingers. You know, it's just like you play certain things harder, you play certain things softer, you know, depending on the song.
Oh, dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear the demo.
Did you say Dianetics?
No. Dynamics. Yeah. So an example is like the artist will just play a song on an acoustic and everyone will kind of listen to it if there's not if he doesn't have like a recorded demo of it.
Yeah.
And then everyone will like try to chart it. But for me, you should definitely learn how to chart songs. The Nashville system would be ideal, not chord symbols in case you have to change the key of the song, right?
Yeah.
That's always difficult.
Well, and it's funny how some people, I know people that were refused, like they're just like, I don't want to learn the Nashville number system. And like, there's a reason for it, you know?
When the singer can't sing it in that key and you have to change the key.
You know?
And then you're transposing stuff now on the fly.
And it's like, oh, okay, hold on, I got to rewrite letters. And is this F sharp in this key or what is this? It's
if the song has a key change, you're totally screwed at that point.
Yeah. And I wish the ones that, you know, I get a lot of calls of musicians that I know are fantastic musicians that want to do studio stuff, but I have a tendency to not call them because of those little things of like, okay, if, you know, I've got a certain time limit to record you on so many songs. I have charts, but if you can't read charts, then you need to learn the song. And it's like, the studio time doesn't need to be wasted with you as a session player learning the song.
Yeah. I really like when the arrangements are already done. There's been some pre-production and there's some charts that are already out. And if they're not, in that case we're talking about, I always think it's good if there's one person is a designated chart guy. That way everyone's looking at the same chart.
Yeah.
Because everyone counts bars differently. Did you count this the fast bars or this the slow bars?
Yep.
I got 1144. I just got like 14.
I just got 14. Yeah.
And now you're dealing
split bar here.
Yeah. Now when the producer wants to change something, everyone's confused.
Yeah. And normally, like this session, you know, I had he charted out the song. So the artist himself knew the Nashville number system, which was great, you know, and he's still learning it, you know, so there's some bar timing wise and stuff like that. But, you know, he and I sat down, figured out keys. I made the arrangements the way I wanted the arrangements. So that way when he played them for you guys and you guys did chart them out, you know, when he forgot something we had changed in pre-pro, you know, I was able to show him real quick. But, you know, it didn't take us, you know, but 20 minutes of sitting in the room and talking about the song and groove ideas and stuff like that. And then we're in there. And
how do you feel about a muso doing the standing in the shadows where like you got the chart, but then like the bass player goes like, hey dude, what if we play this chord, that chord instead of that? And say, wait, what do you think about that? Does that infuriate producers, or is that to you? Or do you think that that's just like, hey man, we're all in here together.
It depends on the guys, because I definitely know producers that will be like, what the heck, no.
Like, why are you talking out of turn?
Yeah. But, you know, for me, especially when I'm in a group of guys that, you know, there's a reason why I brought you guys together, you know, and it's because I respect everybody's opinion, and I know that you guys will respect the work that I want done. and we have a common goal. So it's just like, if you hear something and are just like, hey, what if we switch to this chord? Like the end of that one song where you were like, hey, let's switch these around and play this progression for the outro. It's like, yeah, musically it's fantastic. Scott can do some great guitar work on it. And I mean, hey, that's awesome. That's why I've got you guys in here, because you guys are taking the direction that I want the record to go. And then you're just enhancing it, and we're making something that the artist is proud of. And ultimately, I want the artist to be proud of it because I want him to want to go sell this. I want him to sell his live shows, and I want him to sell the record so we can make another record later.
But if it's like your first couple of sessions and you don't know anybody, you should probably, it's like the seen and not heard kind of thing.
Yeah, play your thing and do what they ask of you.
Whatever chord progression you've thought of, these guys have already thought of it and said it before.
And decided to, and some of that, like, it didn't happen here, but, there's been times where it's like I've got, like you've heard this where I do a random weird key change for a solo and then come back in, to the standard key that it was in, because I know melodically how things will fit. And, sometimes a younger session musician will argue about this isn't going to work. And I'm like, well, me and the artist figured out that it's going to work. And I know that this guy knows how it's going to work. So trust us on the chart that this key change is going to work just because you've never played it before, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's say you got like half band, half studio guys.
Yes.
Because sometimes that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens if someone doesn't hear a part? Like if they can't, it's like, you know what? I got nothing. I can't think of anything for this song. And you can tell while you're going through the song, while the band's studio band's going through the song a couple of times, you hear the one dude just like, he's not playing it. He's playing wrong stuff. He's not really catching what's going on. You're going like, uh-oh. You just kind of like wait and see if he kind of gels. You give him a little time, or you go, hey dude, what
I immediately, when it comes to that, I immediately go into the, hey, we'll get everybody else, and you just throw some ideas down, but we'll come back to it later. Hey, we just got a guest that just walked in.
I saw someone walk. Why don't we lock the doors?
I know, we need to. You never know who's. See, that's Cedar Creek right there. Just people randomly just walk into the studio session.
Some dude just walked in with the backwards Yeti cap on.
Just some hobo walked in. Hey, we should get him to talk to us.
Should we? Should we take time out and?
Yeah, let me set up a mic real quick.
All right, pause it, and then we'll come back.
I guess we're back, and now we got somebody. Okay, so we got 3 rooms going on.
We got a special guest that just walked. That's our podcast now. People can just walk in here.
You can just walk in and do whatever the hell you want to now on Bad Truth. So
we're talking about.
Sessions.
So you got a band. And doing a session. Some are the band guys and some are the studio guy. Or I guess it could be a studio guy.
Well, sometimes the studio guy can't figure out what is going on.
Like he can't come up with the part. He just draws a blank. And what do you do to help a guy remember or to give him an idea of what do you do? You just, like I said, you just wait?
Well, when it's a band guy, I'll wait, because that band guy can come back later, or we can work on it, and we're not wasting the session musician's time. If it's a session musician, then I'll just start talking about different styles of music or different other bands or what direction we're going to, and maybe play something off of Spotify or something.
But you never had to do a hold my hand, just say, hey, play this.
Yes, I have, but I try.
You start singing. Start singing the notes you want the guy to play,
or grab the guitar and go. But I rarely ever do that. Does
that guy get called back?
No, that guy never gets called back.
Ouch.
But I do that with bands too. Sometimes when I'm working with bands themselves, is that we'll just talk and
see me after class.
Hey guys, let's talk about this.
So if you're lucky enough to get the bass and the drums down, then you can always bring the guitar player back. If he's just not getting it.
Making a record is like building a house, and as long as the foundation is solid, you're fine. You can put anything on top of it as long as the foundation is solid. And so
you need the drums down first. The drums are the most important thing.
Drums and bass are the most important thing. Not just drums, not just bass, but both together are the most important thing, because then you can have any tone, you can have any sort of, parts, but if those things are solid, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Okay, because that's what I was asking. Okay, so we have a special guest that just decided he's just going to come in here.
What was the original question?
We were talking about like producer and studio musicians and just kind of getting it together of how, like how I approach certain things and stuff and dealing with session stuff and session players.
Yeah, we just did a record in here this week. And we're doing a podcast because last week animals were pairing up in twos, and we couldn't get to Swimberley, and dude, I forgot my bell.
Oh, dude, you don't.
No bell.
So now I'm gonna have to edit bells.
Wait. I see. I got something in mind. Hold on.
Oh, do you have a cowbell?
Hey, let's introduce who's here, because people are like, who the hell's here? Who's the special guest?
No, they know by my voice already.
They can tell.
Yeah.
They can tell.
All right, hold on.
By those dulcet tones of Steak Night at the Prairie Rose. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding. There's a bell. Put
Micheal.
a bell there, too.
Micheal, the other Micheal, thanks for coming in and joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back at Cedar Creek.
Man, it's crazy. And you and I have never been to Cedar Creek together.
Nope.
But
I missed out when you were here.
And then when you were living next door to Cedar Creek,
I'm back.
like hold on, we're telling son of a dude.
This is the best we got right here.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, let me
Yes.
try it this way.
That's
Nah, I
better.
don't like that.
No, do the softer.
Okay. This is all we got here.
Okay, I just got to tell this
Gross.
one quick story. So, Mike, not Terabay,
Mike who?
Harmeyer.
I go by Michael, by the way. I know you've been calling me Mike a lot. We've been doing this for 3 seasons.
Hey,
But you can call me Michael.
at least I stopped calling you Mitch.
Who was calling me that?
No, I was. No,
Okay.
just kidding.
You really go by Michael?
Yeah.
So
What
like,
do you go
are
by?
you offended if people call you Mike?
No.
Because it's your name?
What about you? Michael and the Moonpies?
No, it's Mike.
You sure?
Yeah, always.
What's on your birth certificate?
Michael, but it's spelled differently.
Like what? How?
The E and the A are are switched.
The E? What do you mean switch? Like
They're not in the same. Like yours is Michael, right?
yes, Mike L, not Mike Al.
Yeah, mine's Mike L.
You're Mike Al. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What do you
So,
think about that?
Mike Al and the Moonpies.
hey, Michael and Mike, what do you guys think about Mikey?
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Okay,
either.
good.
So why would you even say that?
Well, I know some Mikeys.
I know a Mikey too.
Yeah,
Mikey and the Moonpies?
Mikey.
Could it be Mickey and the Moonpies?
Nah, it's already motor cars.
Yeah, there's a motor cars
Right.
band, and there's a mouse. There's a mouse.
Oh, it's Michael Mouse then. Isn't that Michael Mouse? And
Yes.
miniature mouse.
and mini miniature.
Michael Mouse.
Michael in miniature.
Michael in miniature.
This is the lamest bell ever.
That's the worst bell. This might be like, what is this, like a name talk on Bad Truth?
This is what happens when we go on the road. Bad Truth on the road.
This is when we're not a Yellow Dog.
People
It's
just show up.
people show up. We don't know what to talk about anymore.
He's got names spelled wrong.
Well, I was about to tell the anecdote of Mike lived at one of the duplexes over here at the end of the drive here at Cedar Creek.
Yeah.
And at one point I was in a session and they called it a microburst. I called it a tornado. Went down Lansing and took out a bunch of trees, and the duplex that you were living in lost its roof. And I watched the roof blow, like me and everybody in the session watched the roof blow off and go down into our field.
They should have demolished that place at that point in time.
Dude, when I drove up here and saw they repainted it, I was like, you can put lipstick on a pig.
Dude, that place is a POS, man.
Dude, you know how bad it is.
Like none of the outlets worked in it. I was running extension cords through the fucking middle of the house.
Do you remember what session you were working on?
Yeah, actually, it was a Blue Edmondson session.
Oh, okay.
The second Blue album.
Oh, yeah, I went to France with him.
You went and played a festival in France, just like these guys are about to play a
Yeah,
festival
he
in
was
France.
like, "Hey, I need to put a band together. Got to play in a festival in France. You want to go to France?" I'm like, "I'm in. Get me out of." Remember, because I was bitching before on podcasts how I want get me out of the United States. I want to go play out of the United States. And then about a couple months later, out of the blue, he called up. I went to France, dude.
So is this podcast like The Secret? If you just put it out there, then it will happen?
Mike, you going to Europe? What's up?
Yeah, we should all go, and you could do Bad Truth on the Road in France.
I think we should.
After this podcast, I'm going to tell you how to handle that Crepone festival.
Okay, I need all the info.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Brush up on please learn the basic things in French to say.
Yeah. What are those? What's that thing on tape?
Like hello, goodbye, thank you, yes, good morning, good evening. That's all you need.
Or just make sure you have Google Translate on your phone.
No, because you'll say it wrong.
Well,
They'll just yell at you and say, just English, just English.
Wasn't that a thing for a little while where they had like something you could put in your ear and it like translated automatically?
I think that was Star Trek New Generation.
or I was gonna say, or was that on like one of those Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, now I'm trying to remember.
No, it was real. It was like, it might have been like a Kickstarter business or something.
Oh man, I think that would be fantastic.
All right, Adam. So
Micheal.
you're as a studio guy,
Yes.
you're in the session and the producer is trying to tell you something, but you're not getting the message. He's not clear what he wants.
Well, so am I going as
He's
a
giving
producer?
like, yeah,
If I'm
you're giving
telling-
like some references that no one knows.
So I'm telling you that the bass line is wrong.
Well,
And
hey,
you're
we
not
need to
getting it.
can you be a little bit more lively or maybe try to in some kind of vein and then like the references aren't really coming across.
I've basically.
You're like the Spice Girls. Tell me what you want, what you really
want. I have to say, I think I've definitely got through the day with sessions like that. Like, okay, put what you're down, and then we'll come back to it. When it's a session player that has done it, I don't think I've ever actually had a session player that couldn't get what I was asking.
Didn't know the reference?
That didn't know the reference. Now, definitely band members that were playing, yes. And when it has come to that, when they haven't been able to do it, then it's just like, oh, here's a guitar player or somebody that can show you how it is. And honestly, if you do it right, the musician, you don't have to put the musician down for not knowing that part, but show them that this is going to be an educational experience.
Who's hiring these session guys that can't do this automatically?
Well, you have to start somewhere.
Well,
You can't just be a session guy out of nowhere.
see, Mike had said it, and it's normally when this is.
How many records you been on, Mike?
Oh, my own and a couple others.
Yeah, Mike's been on some. Trust me, Mike's the session guy.
As a playing an instrument or vocals?
Both guitar and vocals.
Okay, half bill.
Yeah, I play guitar on a
so
hip-hop record once.
okay, so what happens when you're like the worst guy in the session room? Like you're in there with these giants, and you're like that guy, and you're like, oh my god, I got to keep up with these dudes. How do you handle yourself?
I think. Well, Mike, how do you handle yourself when you're just kidding.
Been in.
You bet, dude. You're in Nashville, and there's Nashville cats in there playing on the same song you're playing on, and there's like Dougie from Sony flies on his private jet in from L.A. or New York or whatever, and you're the bass guy in there, and everyone else is like,
the dudes.
yeah. And they're talking super fast to each other and music lingo, and you're trying to keep up, and they go, all right, let's count it off. And you're like, awa, 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 awa.
You're like, oh, what chord are we kicking on?
Exactly.
I think honestly, you got to nut up and then lick your wounds when something bad happens.
That's how you get your start right there.
That's it. Here's the deal. Just be prepared to fail and know that it's okay if you mess something up.
Yeah.
I know this much. What I like out of
It's usually like when they call you when the guy they wanted couldn't make it, and somebody goes, let's call this guy. Hey, dude, you want to do this session? You show up, and you're like, oh, my God.
I'll tell you this much. This is something I learned early on when I was just an engineer and even an assistant engineer. The great session musicians, it wasn't that they nailed it every time. It was just that as soon as the song was done and there might have been a take, every musician walked in and knew without listening back where they made their mistakes. And it was time and where to punch them. So, I'd walk, the band would come in, the bass player would come up to me and go, okay, going into the second chorus, I biff this, and coming out of the solo, I biff that. So punch me in those. And then a guitar player would be like, okay, I got 3 chords I got to punch. It wasn't that they didn't do it perfect. It was just that they knew exactly where they made their mistakes.
Were they marking that on their little charts, or they just remembered that?
They just remembered it. And some of them would just like come in with their chart, and like as soon as the song was done, they would go ding, ding, ding. And sometimes they would hand me a chart, and just be like, okay, get me these bars and get me these bars and do it.
I've seen some stuff where they're listening, where everyone's listening back, and they're up there writing down the numbers on the Pro Tools.
That's the other thing is that some guys would do that, or back in the tape days, they would look there and they'd put their numbers down and on the listen back and tell me.
Okay, let's flip it around. Well,
Okay.
how come let's say you're doing a session as a musician and you're the best guy.
Okay.
When do you get pissed off and cuss everyone else out?
Well, if you're the best guy, you're not going to get pissed off and cuss everybody out.
You're nailing your part every time, but the other guys aren't getting it.
And the best guys just do it over and over, and they're just like, okay, because this is what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid to play with these guys, and this is...
You can't big up and go, all right, I got mine, dude. I'll come in and let the other guys just play along to your track.
Honestly, I know of people that have told me about sessions that were that way, but I've never been a part of one of those. Like those guys that have nailed it every time, they just do it again and again and wait until the band thing comes back,
Or maybe try something different.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll experiment a little bit.
Hey, I think I got this. Let me go ahead and try something else.
Yep.
To save the kid on the drums who's not getting it.
But that's a rarity. It happens when everybody's session musicians. Because if everybody's session musicians, then they're,
Well, sometimes if you're the ringer working with the band.
Yeah, well, and if you're the ringer working with the band, then hopefully you've got the patience to just sit there and understand the situation you were brought into. Hopefully,
I feel like if you're the ringer, you're coming in and dubbing it later.
Yeah,
after everybody's already done.
And there's that happens sometimes where the producer sits there and like, okay, the band's gone. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I need you to play the acoustic guy's part and the other rhythm guy's part over again.
I will not confirm or deny whether there's been times that when I was just a little engineer that when the session was over and I thought I'm packing up and then it'd be like, no, Adam, grab that bass.
Yeah. Replace our studios.
And I think that happens a lot everywhere.
You think it happens a lot?
Oh, it does.
Oh.
I know it does.
Who replaced all my parts from yesterday? Y'all called Glenn?
Called the Fook.
Dude, I'm at the point now where I'm like, do I ask how much it is first, or do I ask when or where? What question do you think is more important? How much? Or do you ask? Because if it's not if the money's not right, then there's no sense in asking when.
I feel like, I'll tell you this much. When I started here in 99, it was how much musicians would ask. That would be the first question the musician would ask. Nowadays, it's just like, okay, just get my calendar, because they don't even ask. They're just like, they want the work.
Yeah, so you take it as if you're coming up, you're just like, hey, I'll do anything. Just get me in the studio as much as possible. Just get me in. I don't care what it pays.
You charge somebody by song?
Well, I don't think the studio guys don't charge necessarily. I think it's the way the session, the producer is what dictates how it's getting paid, and if you're okay with that.
And that's how I like when I put a budget together. That's what I end up doing. Is I'm a guy that likes to go by song, and then but also say we're going to take this many days. Are you cool with this per song for this many days? And if we get it faster, awesome. But I'm prepared to work for 3 days for 10 songs, and if this price, are you cool with that?
If you got a decent guys, you might do a day rate now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it also depends on too, because sometimes there's this when a day rate happens, then some artists sometimes then want to add more songs, and I don't want to do that to my session musicians. I don't want to say, okay, you know what, we're going to do a day rate and we have 10 songs, but then, the guys are kicking butt and then it's just like, all right, we're going to cut 5 more songs. And then the session musicians are like, well, wait a minute, I thought this was a 10-song record.
So you should ask how many songs is it going to be?
Well, I think so. I bet as a studio musician, you should ask how many songs are going in.
Now, should the musician ask you what kind of record it is at first? Like, hey, what should I? Because maybe they have a lot of different stuff. You don't expect someone to just bring everything that they got if they don't need it.
I definitely make sure that, we talk about with the musician, like what the style is. And you as a musician should say, which basses do you want me to bring? Or like Scott texted me, and he was like, what am I bringing? And I'm just like, hollow body, something with a Bigsby, a telly, a baritone. And then he was like, I didn't have a baritone. And then I was working on one. Then he found one. But, I knew that we were going to need some baritones. And I told him to bring 2 amps, a clean one and a dirty one.
What about like send me your demos? Like, let me hear what the songs are.
I've never asked to hear demos if they have them or not. As a studio guy getting called in, I've never been asked that, but sometimes they'll just send you some stuff or a link to some stuff, and it's always like, it's something like this. This is kind of an idea, but we don't know exactly how it's going to be. It's never like a full realized demo. Some guys have been full realized demos, but they eventually get changed a little bit anyway. So sometimes you get stuck. If you hear the stuff beforehand and you have something in your mind and you come in prepared for that, then you can't be fresh when you walk in there because the drummer may play something different or guitar player might have a different riff, and the part that you already have locked in doesn't work with that. So I feel like if you come in fresh,
you'd rather not hear it.
I'd rather not hear the demo sometimes, unless they say, "Hey, dude, this is exactly how it's going. We want it to go just like this." They might actually already have the parts already, but
and I never do it ahead of time. But there's been a couple times where the same session that the players in the band picked their studio musicians, I did the arrangements with the band. And
so you did pre-production.
In the pre-pro, it was just like we worked out their parts, knowing that the studio musicians were going to make them better and add their little things. But then I didn't advance it. But when we walked into the song, like first song of the day, sounds are made. Here's what the band did. Now let's build on that and make it, make it funkier, make it groovier. But we need to keep it not just the arrangement that I have in my head, but like the band arrangement, like this style of. Tom's here and do this because this is what the band guy wants.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this one thing, I think, on an earlier studio podcast. Okay, so some producers will tell somebody what they want them to do before they've even heard anything. And some producers don't say anything at all because I feel, and some guys don't like that. They don't want to know what the producer thinks or has in mind because that totally skews. Once again, that skews what they may have come up with on their own if they've never have heard anything.
Yes,
like if they don't know of any idea of anything, the first thing that comes to their mind could be totally different. And now it's lost now because the producer was insistent on them listening to this other track as a reference or kind of do something like that, and then now they can't ever. That original idea of the why you called that guy is gone now.
It's like with this. That Garrett session that we just did, I definitely I had the musical arrangements the way I wanted them, and I had the ideas, but I just kind of guide you guys to do what I want you to do.
Who put the band together for this?
I did. So
Figures.
It was just
He'll call you next time.
I was just like, who's gonna go for really cheap? And
dude, people are scraping for work now.
Well, and here's,
I know you're high on the hog now all of a sudden. But the average Joe out there?
Well, here's something I definitely want to put out since this is the studio episode. So I always get the guys that are like, man, call me for a session, dude. Please call me. And I try to.
It's like The Walking Dead. They're like zombies.
And here's
sessions.
Here's what really pissed me off about this area was because I remember a guitar player that, we played a gig together and I really enjoyed his playing. And he was like, dude, next time you have a session, please bring me in on something. And I was like, cool. I was like, I got an overdub. This guy, I'd love to try him on this one song. So I tell him, hey man, Monday on this such and such date, 10 a.m. call. Just be there at 10. We'll get rolling at 11. Bring your amps in and stuff like that. And I'll have you out by 12:30. We'll give it an hour and a half. I'll give you, I always try to say an overdub should take an hour per overdub. So, but I'll give him a little time because, I don't know how this guy is in the studio. So 10 o'clock rolls around. Nobody's here. So text message. Nothing. Give him a little bit of I think 10:15. I give him a call. Nothing. And 11:30, after then I've turned around and got Percival to play guitar on the song. About 11:30, he calls up, man, I drank so much last night. I'm so sorry I didn't hear my alarm. What time do you want me to come into the session?
How about half past never?
Yeah, I was like, sorry, dude, and I'm just thinking if this guy really wants to get into the session work and do this stuff, how about not get totally tanked the night before? and then miss your call time.
Who drinks before a session when you're trying to make a first impression?
Well, that's it. It's just like, I mean, granted,
So I didn't care. I went out both nights
you fucking
to the bar, and I
got
was like, whatever.
sloshed.
No,
You
I
were
don't.
still reeking of
Austin Beer Works.
you wore the hat.
All right. So, Mike, while you're here, I know you're not here for this podcast. What are you here for?
I'm doing liners for radio.
Oh, okay. Adam, see, always he's double downing right now.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay. How many records have you done as your band?
5.
5. And how many producers have you had?
Adam's the first real producer.
No offense, anyone else. Jesus, man.
Well, no, dude. The other guy that I had on the last record was just my best friend
Okay.
or whatever.
So you remember your first record?
Yeah.
What have you learned since from your first record to now, as far as your expectations in the studio? Like speaking up more if something's not going how you thought it would go, or maybe what have you
I think it's
learned to hear?
It's like letting people do what they're good at, not trying to influence people.
Were you too bossy with the other players and what they were playing?
Yeah, I'm not too bossy, but have too much in mind before you go in about what you want it to be.
Your expectations of what
Yeah.
you thought it would be.
Yeah, just kind of let people do their thing, and let in this with this particular record, we let Adam as a producer we have way more than I've ever done before. Have way more impact on the record.
You had more input, you would say.
Input, yeah.
Okay, because
And some would say that was your downfall.
Well, who's that motherfucker?
Because I was
kick his ass.
Because I was talking to Garrett. That was his first record, Adam.
Yeah, I think he had done some recordings before,
Okay.
but not like this.
Yeah. So before you got here, Mike, I was talking to Adam how the first couple of days I was telling him hey, because we did a thing where we made change the chords around the same progression, but we just we changed some chords around to make it flow a little bit better. And I went and I told him, I said, hey, if you're not comfortable or not where we are yet with these changes, speak up and let us know and see if you're comfortable with it. Don't let the studio guys and everybody just go changing things all around if you're not comfortable or you need more time to think about what we just did, because you get to that point where it's your first time and you're overwhelmed and a lot of stuff is happening really fast and you don't have time to process. What did these guys just do to this solo section? I'm not, and I was telling them, hey, you can speak up and say, hey, what are you guys doing there? Because it gets to a point where you get your record and the songs that you wrote, you don't even know how to play them now. Because sometimes it goes a little bit too far.
I think that happens quite a bit. Your songs end up way different when it comes out on the end than it did when you went in. But I think there's something to letting that happen and letting all those things. If all these guys in the band have figured out a cool way to do this, or any way to do it other than what you did, maybe it is the right choice.
Yeah.
It's almost just let that kind of happen and let that be
trust,
part of the record.
Trust what's happening.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you might really end up even if you hate it that day.
But in your younger years, in the early days recording, did you think maybe some things were just flying over your head where you're like, hey, I don't know what just happened here?
No, because I was in control of that whole situation.
Okay, so you're the opposite of most people.
I've never really brought in a bunch of dudes to play.
Yeah.
It's always been my guys.
It's always been your band guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a different aspect then.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what happened on one of these songs was that Micheal changed the outro chord progression on a song, and and it was fantastic and it was great, and that's why this is the last session I ever call Micheal on.
I know.
For changing my chord progression.
I outproduced the producer. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go in there where the guy's like, hey man, how about you do my next record?
How about you?
Does it ever come down to that where it's you change so much that now you feel like you should get some sort of songwriting credit on that?
Some people do. There's a whole documentary about that called Standing in the Shadows of Motown.
Well, and there's something right there. I mean, I feel like unless you're completely changing some stuff around in lyrics and everything, I'll change some tenses of stuff and a line or two here and there, and I'm never
verb tenses
anal about which is a big thing. I know guys that will change a verb tense and then demand a third of songwriting, like producers. And I've just never, I think with every session, I know on my side, we just sit and talk about it and just, it's like, hey, cool, thanks, I mean, this is what, if you're not too worried about it kind of all works itself out, I feel like. Maybe that's the wrong way to approach it.
Such a passive way to do that.
But I mean, I'm always just like, hey, we were all sitting here doing it. I know my job as a producer is to make the song the best it can possibly be in the style that I do things.
I could see that coming from a producer's standpoint. It's like you're already getting paid to do this job that like is kind of that job anyway.
Yes.
But if you're just a musician, like if you're fucking Terabay over here and he's changing an entire chord change, then he might want some song. If he wrote an entire bridge to this song, he might want some songwriting credit on that.
Well, that's different. Yeah.
Like,
if it was something like major like that, like the song has no bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
And you wrote a bridge chord progression, and then the singer spent the whole next day writing lyrics for that.
What if he didn't write lyrics for it? It's a
musical
But
bridge.
if it's a musical bridge, I mean, that's still a thing.
That's still right. A lot of people think, all right, some people might disagree, but most people in Nashville, they think lyrics is the song.
And that's not. Yeah.
It's not true. Like if you write music, that's also songwriting.
Right.
Well, and then that has to be said something right there, because that's an interesting point that you brought up. Now, as a producer, when it comes to that stuff, like, okay, we changed the outro to another section that was earlier in the song, to do the outro. That's one thing. Now, at hiring session musicians, there's a rarity that you will get the session player to then write a part like that.
They really probably won't really do anything.
They're not going to do anything outside the scope of what the producer does, because then, I mean, if the musician wants to sit and talk with the artist and write some stuff and cool, and that's on them, and then bring it to it and hey, do your songwriting thing. But it's really a rare thing. I mean, when you talk about Standing in the Shadows of Motown, that thing, I mean,
that's a great documentary.
That whole thing is basically just those guys being like, hey, you remember that thing we did last night at this jazz gig? Okay, let's do that on this. I mean, technically all those guys should have gotten some sort of...
Right, but then they come in with that in the studio and they don't get any credit.
And they don't get any credit at all.
Yeah, that's different, because they were writing full-on melodies and
they were writing
progressions.
Full parts and stuff, And but nowadays, if you guys go in the back and like say you and the guitar player or you and the songwriter over lunch break write something cool, then well, hell yeah, you should get you get all your songwriting credit.
So let's say that some guy writes a song and it's all like cowboy chords, and then the guitar player comes in and he says you should do this all like major sevens and jazz chords. And like change the whole feel for that song. He didn't change any chord. He just changed like the voicing of chords. But it's for the entire song.
No,
that's
nothing.
his job.
No, okay.
That's his job as the guitar player. Because I've like Garrett stuff. I went through and did okay, well, let's change the chords to this, and that. I mean, I wrote some instrumental parts of it, but I'm not gonna say that I was a songwriter on that song.
Yeah. I'm impressed you said major seventh chords.
I use a lot of major sevens.
Yeah.
Have
you not heard Steak Night at the Prairie Rose?
How deep is your harmony, your music harmony go?
Pretty deep.
You know what a substitution is? Tritone substitution?
No, I don't know about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that afterwards. Adam, do you know what a tritone substitution is?
A tritone? I know what a tritone is, and I know what a substitution is.
Yeah. If it's like a G7,
yeah,
you can play a D flat 7 instead.
I can't believe you thought so little of me that me saying the major 7 would.
I'm just impressed. I'm overwhelmed.
He's just like,
it's like you never hear someone do that. Say something like in the genre that I've been fortunate to be in. You just don't hear artists. Frontmen talking about guitar chords like that. You just never hear it. So that's why I'm over here in shock.
I played jazz guitar in like high school and stuff like that.
Who's your favorite jazz artist?
I don't listen to jazz artists.
Nothing at all?
No. I liked when I was doing it. I didn't really listen to a whole lot of jazz, but
Is there a jazz song that you liked?
It's not really jazz, but I mean, I like things like Misty and like,
okay, those are jazz standards.
Yeah, like jazz standards. Like
they were actually pop songs, but they just call them they're jazz.
They're now just jazz.
I like those a lot.
Like everything Sinatra did, those were pop songs.
Yeah, I like everything Sinatra did.
Yeah, he was the first pop artist. Adam,
who?
Sinatra.
Steve Sinatra.
Okay, who was the second big pop idol
Who
after Sinatra?
would have been after Sinatra?
Come on, dude.
Dino?
Dude. I'll give you a hint. Sideburns.
Elvis.
Boom. He knows his harmonic
Wait a
theory and his music history right there.
Wait a minute. You're saying Elvis was the next?
Huge one, yeah. He was so big, Sinatra did shows with him on the TV show. They had them both there singing one of his songs together. And the girls are all going crazy.
Hold on. I want to argue about this.
You want to argue during the podcast?
Because...
You got a computer there? Oh, no internet.
But let's think about when Elvis actually blew up.
Okay.
There was definitely pop artists.
None as big as him.
You can argue that Bill Haley was way bigger than Elvis for a long time. And he just stopped because of everything that happened in London. Anything? Bill Haley in the comments?
Yeah, you talking about World War II?
No, Bill Haley in the comments, the first rock and roll star.
You said 40s.
No, I'm talking about like before Elvis, there was Bill Haley. Bill Haley was the first rock star.
I'm talking like pop idol. It was Sinatra. He was the swooning, all those girls. And then after him, it was Elvis with the swooning of the hips.
He's talking like cultural change.
Yeah.
Pop icon.
Okay.
Sinatra got the girls with the voice.
Okay.
Elvis got them with the hips.
There wasn't anybody in between?
Not as impactful.
Okay.
Who's that person now?
Who is that person now, Adam?
Man.
Is it Beyonce?
No.
Is it Gaga? I can't believe I'm saying these
Maybe
names.
it's Gaga.
It might be Gaga.
You think?
Was it Justin Timberlake before that?
Could have been. I
Yeah.
mean, where was Michael Jackson in that?
He was right before Timberlake.
Was he the next big, huge thing after Elvis?
Well, no. After Elvis, the next huge thing was the Beatles. The Beatles changed everything.
Okay. We're talking like one person. But yeah, Beatles, of course.
No, I mean, the Beatles changed everything.
All right.
You can't, whether you like or hate the Beatles literally changed the
I like
recording
the Beatles.
industry, changed how records
So
were made.
Sinatra to Elvis to the Beatles to Michael Jackson
Yeah.
to Justin Timberlake
No, we can't go there.
to Lady Gaga.
To Lady Gaga.
I don't know.
Man, dude, I had to move my mic because I was so into this. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Dude, how long is your hair getting?
Dude, it's about halfway down my back
How do you wipe?
with the hair. And that's where the podcast is gone.
Mike, your hair is getting long.
Yeah.
Mike, are you growing your hair out?
I don't know. I did a thing where I like undercut it. Like I left everything long on top and then
Millennials.
shaved the sides of it. The lady that cuts my hair is like in her 50s.
Are you a millennial? When were you born?
I don't know if I was born in 84.
No, so no.
I don't
No,
think so.
You're not a millennial.
I don't know. I've heard it said both ways. That
I started high school in 84. Just
Are you,
throw that out
Michael? Michael, are you in AARP?
No. No, dude. I'm getting older, but I'm not old. So let's talk about this Europe trip. What's going on?
You're just trying to
you're
get this.
really trying to go to Europe.
You're trying to get the tour managing
We
gig,
already
aren't
bought
you?
tickets.
Dude, I'll get you. Dude, if it's the same people as was before, I got you.
How do you say crepon? Crepon?
Yeah, you're good. That's it.
Capon sur Azon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we had to figure that out for a liner.
It's a cool festival. They treat it right. They treat you right. It's well organized. All they ask is that you just show up on time. Do not miss sound check. Be ready at the wherever they're picking you up that morning for sound check. Make sure you're all ready. Don't let them wait for you. Dude, a guy showed up with like a bowl of like bread and like apples and
A
stuff.
bowl of bread.
Did apple? Remember that one? That's the Bad Truth Goes to France.
Goes to France, yep.
Dude, that was incredible.
My Italian friends say all the French just walk around with baguettes under their arms and they sweat all over the baguettes and then eat them. The Italians hate the French.
Well, we're going there too.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Italy.
Let's go.
Bologna.
You're going to
Bologna.
Bologna?
Bologna.
That's in the north, sort of.
I don't know my geography.
See, I'm already working here.
You know what the best thing is as I think every band should do. You should definitely take a gig in Italy and France, and then take the next gig in Billings, Montana.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's called routing.
Dude, I'm planning on road managing this Europe trip here.
I know you're working your way in.
But I'm saying goodbye on Montana.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's what, if you want to get paid, you show up to Montana.
So have you guys been to Europe before as a band?
No, this is our first time.
Everyone's got passports? Mm-hmm. Everyone got clean records?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Fresh passports, huh?
Yeah. No, mine's not fresh.
When's the last time you've been to Europe?
I've never been to Europe.
Okay.
My passport's only been to Mexico.
All right. How was that?
It's all right.
Bueno.
It was bueno.
Were
I
you
can do
laughing
that.
over there?
I can do that. Bien.
It was taco bueno.
Yeah.
All right. So this is exciting then, no?
Yes, it's exciting. It's exciting, but it's like a pain in the ass, kind of.
If there's only someone who'd been there before to help y'all,
To help you guys out.
get y'all around so y'all act like Americans.
That's
when y'all
why
get
I'm
there.
going. That's why I'm going with the guys.
Are you taking your cowboy hat with you?
I'm debating that, but yes, I've decided I am.
Where the rest, your whole band's pretty cowboy hat heavy. I've
Yeah,
noticed.
but it'd probably only be me that
That's
does
a
it.
lot of overhead right there.
It's something that I have to do. It's like a thing I have to do for that festival.
I was going to say, you need to,
Yeah.
Well, you don't have like a big cowboy hat. You have like a normal size
Yeah, I
hat.
have I trim the brim. It's smaller.
Is
But,
it?
but you're not doing the really short brim thing that a lot
No,
of
I don't do that shit.
Is it
lot
felt?
of out of shape
Yeah, it's a felt
songwriters
hat.
do.
your hat can be felt
Yeah, I don't do that switch the hat thing.
for seasonal.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It'll be hot. It'll be warm there.
Dude, I wore it in Florida.
Okay.
Key West Fest.
It's cool.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, that's exciting. You're going to Europe. Or you're going to the big festival in France, and then they're throwing in the money gigs while you're there to go to Scotland. Where are you playing in Scotland?
That's not even the case. Like, we're just doing the festival date is the money date.
Well,
And
yeah.
but then all the travel comes out of that money. But then we're going to Scotland to do like a BBC taping.
Or for the fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
I'm
There's some
terrible.
BBC
Sorry.
stuff.
BBC in Scotland.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
maybe if there's enough time, a in-store in London,
Yeah.
and then back down to Italy.
Dude, how much money are you going to blow over there?
I'll come back with nothing.
You going to look for vinyl records?
I'm not gonna, I don't want to travel. I'm taking like a backpack. No.
Nobody,
I don't want to I don't want to go with a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to come back with anything.
So you just it's just you, your hat, and your guitar.
Yeah.
One guitar.
Yeah, I'm having a case made for 2 guitars, so like it'll be like so my guitar player can have his B bender and I can have my Strat,
In a road case.
Yeah,
You're going
in
to
a
fly
road
under the
case.
plane? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
and our steel player's flying with a steel. Other than that, we're not.
And then you
anything.
just toss literally all your underwear and socks in the guitar case.
What about the bass player? What's he's carrying on his bass?
No, he's just gonna. I don't know. I think he's just gonna backline something.
Backline a bass?
Yeah.
That's cool. I took my bass when I went.
I took my bass all the time.
He could take it. I don't know. I don't care what he does.
And I put it in a gig bag and I gave it to, we went on, I think one time was Northwest Airlines. Is that an airline?
There was a Northwest because I used to fly from Amarillo to Philly, I think.
Yeah.
On Northwest.
We took one of those one time, and then the other time was just British Airways, and they were all cool. Like they either fit in the overhead or they put it in the closet for you. They're super friendly about it. But
In a soft shell case.
just a gig bag.
Yeah.
It was just I just put a bass in a gig bag, and they were totally fine with it. They put it in the yeah.
We have to
closet.
do like.
They put it in the closet.
I'm not sure what airline we're flying over there. I know that at one point we have to do Icelandic Air or something.
Oof, it's cold.
Yeah. That's our way back from London is like into Iceland to Seattle.
You're stopping in Iceland?
Yeah, we're stopping in
Dude.
Iceland. Iceland to Seattle to Billings.
What's your layover in Iceland?
Yeah.
It's like 3 hours, I think. Yeah.
You should get out, tell one of your other band guys, hey, dude, hold on my stuff. I'll be right back. Go out, go to customs, get the stamp, and then come back. So you can have Iceland and you're stamped in your passport
Actually,
Maybe I
that
can
would
do
be
that.
awesome.
for like 1 hour.
I should do that.
Go get like a 15.
And then they hold you and you
probably
can't get
so.
back in
It doesn't make any sense.
while you're
Why
leaving.
are you in Iceland?
Yeah, because you're going to go to all those countries, but you're only going to get one stamp.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have the France one, and then once you're in the EU, you're in the EU.
Oh,
but then you're going to Italy, though, no?
Yeah.
Bologna.
Bologna.
Ciao.
How boring is this conversation right now?
Dude,
Mike's so enthused about his European trip.
The listeners.
Dude, I'm in like a total T-Bay kind of mood today.
It happens.
A T-Bay mood?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just
why
like
Mike is now
I'm negatively excited.
Oh. No, I'm excited for you guys because the first time we went with PG, that's a band still talks about that. The oral tradition of the stories of that year, that 14 days we were over there.
I think it's gonna change a lot for the band. I think we're gonna go over there all the time after this.
Yeah, that's what they promised us, but then they lied to us. They said we were going to go all the time if we went, because don't just go once, because they get pissed off. Because they want to promote the show and do a bunch of stuff, so they want you to come back. But if you show them that you're going to keep coming back there, it's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger every time.
Yeah, I think we're going to be very popular over there.
Yeah.
In fact,
we're a country band,
dude.
I already took loans out of the bank saying that you guys were going to be great over there. So.
You put a down payment on a house?
Yeah, I was like, I'm buying a bunch of stuff. And listen to this. These guys, once they're over there, trust me, I'll pay all this back.
Dude, just think about this. This first time you bring your hat, next time they'll all bring their hats.
Yeah, that's so true.
Baby steps.
It's guaranteed.
Dude, but no lie though, that was the most eye-opening, most exciting thing that I'd ever done musically, was that first European trip where we went to all those countries and stuff. It was such a blast, and seeing all the different cultures. And when you come back home, you start seeing people walk around the street, and you go, oh, that guy's Italian, that guy's definitely French, that guy's German. Like, you start putting the faces together. In a way that you never did before when you see people.
Which is called profiling.
Yes, profiling.
People get paid to profile. I'm a professional filer.
Hey, Michael. So we're about at Godfather 1 length on this podcast.
Let's just end this. We'll just edit out all the Mike stuff.
Yeah.
I was never here.
We'll keep the part where we said Michael Mouse and Miniature Mouse. And then right after that, right there. Mike's just not very enthusiastic today.
I'm not.
Man.
I'm about to take the special off the guest part.
Just be guest.
Guest. We have guest Mike.
I'm sorry. I'm so lame in this.
I tell you what, we're gonna have to do an episode of managing a band at some point.
Let's just have Mike come back and let's do one based on him where he actually says 2 words in a row.
I don't want to do anything based on me.
No? Well, I'll do most of the talk anyway.
Trust me, he's going to do all the talking.
Have you not heard our podcast?
Yes.
We don't interview like all these other podcasts interview.
Yeah,
our radio
I've
station.
heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it.
We come up with stuff that no one would think to ask.
Yeah, I think it's going well.
And even I tell you what now, and even if Mike doesn't listen to the podcast, at least he retweets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have my support.
More than our listeners do.
There's going to be some people out there going, I didn't know his name was spelled wrong.
Yeah,
that's new.
That's totally true.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was taking his cowboy hat to Europe.
Yeah, this is very informative.
Yeah, who would have guessed?
I know. These are the kind of things that you don't hear people talking about.
They could wait to see his Instagram photos or something.
But who wants to do that? Now this is building hype for the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, think of how all the beers that you've never drank before you're going to be able to see now.
Dude.
Stuff you never heard of. What is that? I'll try it.
Yeah, I'll probably do that a lot. But isn't it? No, that's Germany that does hot beer, right? Which one does hot beer?
They have 2 kinds of beer in Germany. It's light and dark.
Okay, but they drink it hot?
Yeah, they drink it warm.
Yeah, I mean, some. I don't remember.
I don't know. That's what
we drank a lot.
I don't know.
They were the biggest glasses I've ever had in Germany.
I don't drink like dark beers though. I drink like light beers.
Okay.
So
there's a Guinness. There's a Pilsner Guinness.
Okay, I'll drink that. I'll try that.
That's different.
I'll try that.
I think it's called something 13 hops. 13. I don't know. 13 hops.
No, I think that's here now too.
Oh, it's here now.
That Guinness, because I saw that at HEB that they have a Pilsner.
All right. Well, don't drink it here.
never
Wait till
mind.
you drink it over there.
Okay.
In Scotland, there's Carling in Scotland and stuff like that. And Scotch, the low flyer.
Yeah, I'll probably drink some liquors.
When Percival and I made a record a couple years ago.
Oh, is it Godfather 2 now? We in the Godfather 2 now?
Godfather 2 now. we made a record over in we cut it at Abbey Road, but then we did all the overdubs in a place called the Chapel in Lincolnshire, and all the staff, every time everybody went for beer runs, all the English staff bought Budweiser because it's an import there. And they just thought, why would we drink all this local shit when this store has Budweiser? And I was just like, yeah, but it's Budweiser.
It's probably differently.
Yeah.
The water is different,
it tastes
right?
different. It definitely tastes different than the Budweiser we have here.
They brew it there and stuff?
I don't know where it comes from, but it's not
because that
the
wouldn't be
same.
imported if they brewed it there.
Yeah.
Hey, how much cash are
Interesting.
you going to change it over to euros? How many euros you bringing over?
I don't know. What's your recommendation on that? I haven't planned that out.
Well, the euro costs more than $1. Is worth
Yes,
more than $1.
I'm well aware of that at this
So
point.
you might want to. How long are you going to be there? How many days?
I don't know, a week and a half.
I mean, you're gonna if you're talking just cash or just eating, if whatever's not provided. Well, when you're in France, they're going to feed you like kings. You're going to be great there. But I would think like probably what 30 euros a day, Adam, for like
Yeah.
a per diem at least.
That would be a good one because
At least 30 per diem.
in Italy,
30
they're going to
30
treat
euros.
you pretty well. But for those days in between, if you give them 30 a day, yeah.
And if you drink, I mean, it's
well,
gone.
then there's that.
There's gonna be like five euros a beer. So that's gonna go at least. That's gonna go quick
Well, I'm going to have to take a lot of money then.
if you do cash. But
What's my other option?
a credit card.
But like it's got to be like a MasterCard.
Well,
My Chase Bank
Visa
card
is
worked
good.
over there, yeah.
whatever bank, you don't have to say, but whatever bank you are, let them know that you're going to be going to Europe and the countries you're going to. So your credit card company, so they don't turn it off.
I proudly bank with Wells Fargo.
Okay. Well, you got the app. You can go in the app and tell them if you have a Wells Fargo credit card. And I think in the app you can tell them where you're going and when you're going to be going, so they won't mess with your card. And same with your debit card. But the thing about using the debit card from our Bad Truth Ghost Aroma,
Yeah.
it's safer if you use your credit card because you can always what's the word? Dispute. You can dispute the charge. But if you use your debit card, that money's gone.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So once you use your debit card overseas or anywhere, that money's out directly. But use a credit card if it's in Europe, and they'll charge you a foreign currency fee every time you do that.
sucks.
You might ask Wells Fargo if they're going to charge you a currency fee every time you use your debit card or
So
credit
what if
card.
I just took out, like, started a credit card just for that tour?
Well, you can have a travel. Wells Fargo, I think. Listen to me over here.
Yeah.
I think Wells Fargo has a travel. You could have a travel debit card where you can take money online from your app, where you can move money from your other account just onto that card, and you just use that card. You just top it up as needed.
Yep.
That sounds like the way to do it.
You can do that. But yeah, when are y'all going? I'm looking at my watch. When y'all going to Europe?
Like we leave like July 20th.
Oh, so you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just check the rates on the euro versus the dollar and see when it's going to go down. Ask the bank, and then
So if I transfer it to that credit card thing, they won't charge me that fee.
yeah, that's something you have to ask them about. But yeah, sometimes they do.
Try.
Sometimes they do a foreign currency fee. It's like $1 or $3. It was a percentage every time you use it, your card, or just use euros.
Sounds like something I need to go talk to the guy about.
Yeah, have you seen
Face to
euros
face.
before?
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay,
euros.
well the coins
The coins.
are a lot of money. Like they have dollar. Psh, they have like €1 and €2
€5
and the
Yeah,
coins.
I'm gonna try not to deal with any of that.
You won't have a choice if you spend any cash, they're going to give you coins.
That's what I'm
back.
saying. I just don't want to use cash.
Oh, okay. Well, it's good to have some cash if you're stuck in the airport and you want to get like a Coke or something.
I'll let somebody else carry cash.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to the customs part and you can't. The only thing you have is a machine, and you're waiting in there.
I'll just have to go without.
But you should have some euros on you.
All right, I'll pocket something.
I don't know. You
Good
might.
call. No, that was good. That was another
Thanks.
informative thing. See, I'm learning.
I'm trying to tell you guys.
Yeah.
But I would prepare for like 30, 35 euros a day.
Day.
Without
drinking.
'cause how much is a meal, Adam? It's going to be at least like 10 or 12 euros
Yeah.
each meal.
Unless you're just going to the pizza places.
Yeah.
Those little coffee shops with the pizza and stuff, which are
Yeah.
€5 and stuff. I mean, that's how I did my first run over there.
You're going to have a lot of change in your pocket, and it's going to be a lot of money. It's
I
like,
hate having change in my pocket. I hate
Going
it.
jingling-a-ling.
Yeah.
Do you guys use ears?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you know the little zip thing, case? You can just throw all the change in that.
Yeah, like a change purse.
Exactly.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to Euro Talk on The Bad Truth this episode.
This is kind of it's informative, but it's just like tiresome to get through this podcast.
It should be in this room.
Mike, thanks for stage raping the podcast.
No problem.
And I know you got some liners to do, and you're looking at your phone.
Yeah, well, I mean,
got to get out of here.
No, she was asking me what time the baby ate. There's things I have to answer.
Oh, you have a kid?
I have a kid.
I didn't know that.
6 months.
See, I'm learning something. Mm-hmm. 6 months.
Yeah.
What's the diapers cost a month?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
It's not great.
You just let them run around.
Well, Adam's co-managing, right? How come you haven't worked on like a Pampers deal yet?
We're not. Yeah, I know. That's what we should actually work on.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good idea.
Shrink wrap that van in Pampers.
Yeah.
That's
Dude, our door flew off the trailer the other day. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, like the side door.
What is it? We
That
need a
trailer's a
trailer
piece of
deal.
shit.
We need a trailer deal.
Fuck Phil's trailers.
You heard it here.
Let me say that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The roof came off like 2 months ago. It just flew off on the highway. And then the door blew off just like a couple days ago.
Yeah, I remember the roof blowing off. Jeez.
Yeah.
I tell you, our next thing is if Fender's going to keep using pictures of you guys, we're going to get a Fender deal.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Hey, Fender's like all about it.
Fender loves the band, and band loves Fender. So we're working on that.
I like Fender.
Yeah.
Can we go now?
That's all. Man, I've been saying that for at least the Godfather 3. All right. Mike,
Let's do better. Can we do better next time?
I hope so.
I'm
I'm not going
uncomfortable.
to say we are.
I'm
but
uncomfortable I'm in foreign studio.
I'm going to say, look, we're uncomfortable, and unfortunately, we're on location. This is why we should never do on location.
I think I might have ruined this.
No.
He could have.
I feel like I did.
You made it better.
No, that's not true.
Does it have to be steak?
He wants Chipotle night.
Why does it
like-
always have to be steaks?
Couldn't have been chicken.
He wants Chipotle night at the Prairie Rose.
Why? How you can't have a church night? Ugh. You can't have a chicken night.
Have you ever been to a chicken night at a bar?
Would you trust eating chicken at a bar? At least
Dude,
steak can be
grilling
undercooked.
chicken breast outside.
You can die from both.
Yeah, but you're less likely on a steak.
I can't remember the last time I had cow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you not do that?
I mean, not unless I'm playing in some band or we're playing in the middle of nowhere in Texas. Hey, you guys like barbecue? It's the best barbecue ever.
There was some big dance hall.
Let's end it.
No, I'm going to send this last one. Some big dance hall. Man, where is it? It's like
This
east
is
of
interesting.
Dallas. They had a steak. They had steaks and a full restaurant in the bar, and I was playing in both bands. And so I saw the headlining band got to make their food order, and then the opening band got a different band menu, and they didn't have steak on the opening band's band menu. And I was like, dude, that's the rudest thing I've ever seen. Like, you're already down to a band menu, but there's an opening band menu.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
We talked about that season 1.
Where was I?
You were here.
I don't think I was.
It was a place in Corpus. That shithole place they call a venue that's inside outside.
Concrete?
Brewster
Oh,
Street.
Brewster's.
Pretty sure.
Fake venue.
There's too many streets.
They definitely have a band menu.
Yeah.
There's no brew there.
There's a stir. I don't know. I was going for something. I'm tired. Let's get out of here.
All right, this is one more. This is for our Patreon listeners.
Hey, I got one guy. I'm going to call him out because Waldo, Eric Hansen from The Departed, was just like, we should start a Patreon. He's like, I want to be the first Patreon member because I love your podcast.
Okay.
And I'm like, awesome. It's $500 buy-in.
Well, thanks for everyone who has bought in the Bad Truth caps so I could pay Adam for the Libsyn hosting fees. And we've sold all of them, I believe.
I might have one.
What?
I don't know.
I made a big deal about it. Now you have one left?
No.
Okay.
I have new Moonpie caps at themoonpies.com.
Yes. Can I get one of those?
Sure.
How much?
free. You have them for free.
I was just gonna say,
They're not. No. Wait, they ain't free. How much are they?
How much do they cost?
No, how much we selling them for?
They cost $25.
Awesome.
I will say thanks for the latest iTunes reviews. We thank you, and please, vote. Is it voting? What are we doing? Starring?
Star.
Rating.
Rate.
Yep.
Dude, I got so many Italian verbs in my head, I can't even remember the English ones.
Just because you went to Italian class tonight.
Yeah. So thank you for rating. Please rate us on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher. We're on Spotify and YouTube. What else, Adam?
I don't know. All I'm looking at the time on this podcast, and we might as well just make this a Netflix series.
It could be. Apple bought it. No?
Yeah. Apple owns Netflix.
So thanks everybody for that. And hopefully we'll come up with some more merch to help support the podcast. Literally none of the money we do anything with it, but just pay for the hosting costs right now. And then thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Sans the Moonpies for crashing and bringing us on this really somber, boring podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, please come back anytime.
Hey, no problem.
And for Adam for setting this up on the fly here at this foreign studio.
Yeah. What country are we in? I don't even know.
I don't know. There's an actual prairie outside this studio.
There is.
I was going to ask what exactly a prairie is. I know what prairie dogs are.
That's because you lived in Lubbock.
Yes. And just wrapping up this studio session podcast, I just want to throw out there that the most painful, awkward, stressful part of the studio for me is when everyone decides what they want for lunch.
Yeah.
Because I hate food and I get nervous that they're going to get stuff with vegetables on it.
Hand sandwiches.
Yeah. Hey, I got you guys some stuff, some sandwiches, and there's like mayonnaise, mustard, and tomatoes and green stuff. I'm like, oh, God.
What do you eat?
We'll do that. I keep saying we're going to do that podcast on food.
We're going to do just the what Micheal eats. Chipotle.
Prairie night at the Chipotle.
We got to get out of here. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for unsubscribing, those people that unsubscribe.
Whoever's gotten to this point, you are a true fan. Congratulations. All right, I'm out of here.
All right, we're out.